All right, everybody. Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking with Vicki Brittle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so good, Tom. Thank you so much for having me.
No, my pleasure. You're actually my first virtual interview of the new year, so this is a good one for me.
Woo!
So for those who are new to you and your music, can you give us a little bit of a introduction about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Vicki Brittle. I am born and raised in the Ottawa Valley. I've been a singer-songwriter for many years now and started at a very young age, kind of doing the small town thing at local hockey games and musicals and all that stuff, and then kind of bloomed into my own journey. And now I'm with Coalition Music based out of Toronto, and just released my latest single, 20 something, and just very excited to keep going and releasing things on all the platforms and crossing other people's journeys as well.
I'm actually from Ottawa myself too, so we're like neighbors almost.
Amazing. Yeah,
hmm
I'm in a very small town now outside of Ottawa, just in a village, but born and raised in Arnprior. So,
Okay. I'm right in Canada, so I'm, just down the road.
okay, yes, very down the road.
hmm so I guess the first question is, what inspired you to get into music?
Oh, I kind of love this question because I don't know if there was I think I was so young when music did hit me that I wouldn't have the human ability to recollect that moment, to be honest. So I genuinely have been with music since I can remember, and I don't think there's ever really been another route for me in that cliche. Whatever you just did, undo that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Jesus. When tech decides to go, it goes hardcore.
Yeah, no, like really hardcore.
So I missed the last like mouthful of what you said for your music inspiration, but I think it recorded the rest anyways.
Okay, cool. I think I was, yeah, so basically I was kind of just saying that um, due to who I was investing my time and paying attention to at a young age, just because of who my parents were showing me as musicians, and watching Canadian Idol and the judges on there, people like Sass, people like Grace Potter, even from a young age, and like more rock and roll people that my dad was playing records for, those kind of people. Watching how a lot of those females, specifically, their careers played out and how they did the thing while they were younger and doing the small town thing and everything like that. It really did, from a young age, kind of just give me that extra bit of faith that even if it went slow or anything like that, I didn't really have to worry. And I never really did stray away from that, because for me personally, I have a very Canadian like foundation to my music. So I've never really dreamt about the Ariana Grande position or anything like that. So for me, it's always kind of been a dream how it's folded out anyways. And I do feel like I'm pretty much on a perfect timeline still, you know.
And what would you describe as your general style of music, like your genre? Do you fit into something specific?
That's always like a very hard question, to be honest, just because I have so much in the foundation of where I write from specifically, that there is so much inspiration, especially across my catalog from a young age to now. If you go back and listen all the way to my very first album, it definitely had a lot of like Paula Nutini inspiration and like Sheryl Crow and like a very different mix of things. And then on my second album, I definitely started to honor more of the Sass Jordan, and even like little bits of like the AC/DC that I loved. I definitely did more of like the band thing. And then back to my third album, which I really started honoring how much I love John Prine and the really wonderful folk written music that's just really beautiful storytelling and more almost just more personal on a level of writing. Um, so I really do just have so much in my foundation that I more do find myself sticking to basically folk and rock now. Folk, I just called it.
Yeah, hey, that
Yeah.
works. I mean, when I first listened to
Wow.
the track, it gave me a real like a hint of like a Janis Joplin type of feel to it. So I kind of had a good feeling from just the first song that I listened to about kind of who you were as an artist, I think.
Yeah, and that's just really beautiful because it's taken me so many years and such a long journey to even get to that place for listeners, but also for myself. It's obviously a very confusing road and journey to go on as a young artist, especially. I think it's a lifelong journey to find your sound because I don't know if you ever like I'm ever changing, you know, so I'm always going to find new pieces of my sound or new inspirations or things like that, but it has taken a long time for me to get comfortable with what I now present, and the sound that I present is exactly what I love. And it does take a long time to get there and be in that imposter syndrome and that confusion for many years before you say like, holy crap, that's exactly what I wanted to put out at this time. And I love that sound, you know?
And you definitely seem like you hit the nail on the head with it with your sound. Like it seems authentic to you anyways.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I definitely that's part of like the honoring your process too, right? Is just having enough faith in yourself that whatever needs to be expressed and whatever emotions need to live in that song are meant to live there. And it does take a long time to just fully put those walls down and be able to say, even say no to people that can fight that or that want a different sound or things like that. You just have to really stick with your gut when it comes to this point of my, you know, journey and changing life in 20s, especially where now that I'm in my later 20s, it's finding that confidence to just, like I said, whatever I need to express in that space lives in that space. And I think that does allow people to connect through the honesty of my music. So it has become a blessing to just let myself be within the music and let it be inevitably authentic, even if I'm not going for that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, speaking of things in like your 20s, we are here talking about your new single 20 something. Does that kind of
Yeah.
draw from your personal inspirations, or was that just something you put together?
Oh, 100%. No. So from a young age in my 20s, I definitely suffered from anxiety attacks, but I'd never experienced a panic attack. And I remember my first one, and I remember I was already kind of in just a really rocky place at that point in my 20s. You go through moves, you go through all the changes, the love changes, all those kind of things, right? And I already was definitely in a season change for my personal life. And I basically had just poured that out one night. And a lot of it was definitely gibberish on the first piece of paper, but it was all there already, which is very phenomenal for a songwriting process to happen that way. It was so comforting. It is comforting, not only with that song, but when that happens anytime, it just feels like when it flows out of you like that as a songwriter, not even just fully as a musician, but specifically as a songwriter, when it flows out and all the information's there and the progression's there and all this stuff, and all you have to do is kind of make it make sense to, you know, the outsider perspective. That's just a very special experience in itself. And that's definitely what happened with this song. And it's crazy to me how many years it was in the blooming. I wrote this a couple of years ago when I was in my younger 20s, and we spent almost a year in production with this song, just making it what it is and letting me process what I was feeling and putting out there, because it's definitely one of the first songs that I have felt very connected to in the sense of like a baby, you know. They say just like your songs are your babies, and this is one of those ones that I feel like is never going to grow up to me. I'm just always going to see it as my baby, and I'm so excited that I get to share that with other people now, because it's just so many learning lessons that I've gone through as a 20-something-year-old. Like it from progression from start to finish, it's exactly the emotions I was experiencing, not only when I was writing it, but also that influenced that extreme overfill of my glass, you know?
Mm-hmm. And this one being your newest single, how do you think your writing process and everything has evolved from all the way back in like 2016 when you had your first album, your EP release? Like, how have you evolved from that now?
Yeah, I think that watching your own evolution and reflecting on it is probably one of the coolest things for a musician, especially when I look at my own songwriting. I definitely have my couple strongest group of ones that I look back at now and say, okay, those were kind of the stronger ones standing in the front of the line. And it's really cool to watch how you structure things in an emotive sense. Now I definitely understand um in a in more of a progressive type of way. I understand storytelling a lot more, I think, in my songwriting. And that's been a really cool thing to watch the growth in, is not just having these 25 lines that live together and find somewhere good to sound, which I never feared to do. And I love that style of writing, but now I definitely have an intention with a progression, not only for a listener, but for myself, because I write very much in in a journaling style now. So for me, it's all about also expressing and working through those emotions at the same time as the song progressing itself. And now I, at this age, still have so many years and so many more hundreds and thousands of songs to write before I could ever, understand it fully. But I definitely have grown in a sense of going from point A to point B and everything in between there making a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And do you get heavily involved with the production process of it, or are you more kind of hands off? I know you said this was a year or something like that it
No,
took.
I want to yeah, I want to grab every dang thing that is involved with my music. I love production process for the music. I love mixing process. I love everything to do with that, and there's so much work that goes into the foundation I make, and then that's just literally the foundation is the song and the writing and me singing it. And I'm now at this point, I don't play acoustic guitar on my own tracks in the studio, so I fully get to step away and just be the singer and the songwriter, and unless I have a co-writer as well. And it's really cool that I'm allowed to dedicate all this time to watching those processes, because that's one of my favorite parts of these songs coming to life, especially 20 something, because been this it's been a really, really cool thing to watch it go from a speck of, like, it's been with me so long that I watched it go from a speck of dust to a full building now. And a lot of songs, despite how long they feel like they take to release, there is this quickness that lies underneath the writing to the release, especially when you're releasing a full album. Not every single song gets that honor and that time to process and to fully be with, unless you are living in that mixing world, that mastering world, that production world. So I think it allows you really to also process your relationship with every single song like that. And 20 something especially, because it literally started from me sitting at this exact table that I'm sitting at right now, literally in this chair. I wrote it right here, and it went from that to a phone demo, to showing the label, to going down to California and recording it in Temecula with Arnold. Like, it was just this elongated, really beautiful way of creating something that gives it a whole new life, especially when it's going to come around back in full circle, which I've been talking about that a lot lately with this song. Is I It's taught me so much in the small amount of time that I've even held it, and the fact that I get to just share that with other people too is a really, really cool thing for the process as well.
Mm-hmm. And I'm expecting we're gonna get to see that live one of these days, hopefully. And you were just at Blues Fest, which I missed your performance because I was flying solo that day and I had to cover everyone else's as much as possible. But are you coming back to Blues Fest sometime soon, you think? Or
Yeah, definitely. I love Blues Fest. I love the people who are involved in the volunteering. I love the festival's way of involving local acts. It's just a really special, beautiful festival to be involved in, not only as a local, but just as an admirer of music in itself. I think they do a really good job of keeping modern with the festival livelihood, as well as having that underground scene still. Like Pokey Lafarge is one of my favorite shows I've ever seen at Blues Fest. But then on the same night I saw Tom Petty. Like, it's just this really cool, diverse, just a diverse atmosphere that is so not hard to fall in love with. And the fact that that's so close to my hometown, and I also grew up seeing, I saw Fergie in like 2008 at Blues Fest or something. Like, I've been going since I was a kid, so it's a very cool experience just to be involved in that. And then also the undeniable experience as an artist of the attendance and the types of music fans that you meet there is just next level. Like, the people appreciate the music there, and it's just a very cool experience to have that so close to home and it be such a large festival,
Mm-hmm. There's not many out there that are. It's like 10 days of music every day. It's not a lot like it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's so much opportunity in the rest of the festival as well. They treat artists wonderful with merch. They have so many other routes of art that they go through as well. They have visual artists. They run the Barney Danson Theater. It's also diverse in the artistic sense as well, which I just really appreciate that for festivals, because it's nice to have a big boom in one for the hometown once a summer, other than Jazz Fest and all those things. But I think we both can agree, being Ottawa people, that there's something a little different about Blues Fest.
very much so. It's unlike anything else where you can go, on a Tuesday for a full country night, and then the next day is hip hop, rock and roll, and then the next day is, classic rock, and then you have all kinds of different things
Exactly.
like that. Oh,
Yeah, you
there's a
can
little
see
face
like
box.
Zach Brown Band one night and Alexis on Fire the next, like it's a very good it's a
Mm-hmm.
good scale.
And funny enough, I actually had never gone to Blues Fest since I lived in Ottawa before, like only the last 4 years now, as media. I've never actually gone as like a fan to go see a show, which was weird. I never understood why I
Yeah.
didn't get that.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool experience as the fan experience. And like, even this year, it was just very, very, very cool to have. This year was my first actual trailer at Blues Fest. So the band and I had like our own trailer and everything like that. But even then I couldn't fight wanting to go out in the crowd after. So we ended up at all the shows, like, it's very it's contagious to be in the crowd as a fan in the Blues Fest space, which is something really special for a festival to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And like with some of the sizes of the crowds you can get, like Luke Holmes' past one was insane. the biggest crowd I
Yeah.
think I've ever been in at that point, which was
Yeah.
interesting. I ended up catching COVID at the end of the festival, so that made everything suck, but I mean, it is what it is.
Boo.
Yeah.
The things we do for music, Tom, okay?
Well, my main job is actually a photographer, so I'm the guy who gets right up front and gets all the pictures and everything too. And
Yeah.
the interviews and things like that were more of a side thing during COVID, and it actually kind of blew up for me. So this is why I get to actually have conversations with artists like yourself. My notes keep on
Nice.
falling here.
Yeah, and that's like a cool thing too, is I mean, I think a lot of people who listen to this side of media and are coming from a place of research and stuff like that, sneeze warning. Woohoo. um I mean, I think they're very diverse in this knowledge, but it's so amazing how many sides of festivals and these shows truly are alive. Like there's people in your position who are the only reason that people who don't go to these festivals actually can see what's going on and have these phenomenal photographs of these artists. It's artists like me who are in such a privileged position to have people like you taking extremely high quality photos and media people asking us questions and all these things. It's just a really everyone has to hold hands to make this kind of thing work, and I think that's such a cool part of, releasing songs, playing festivals, being involved in the music industry at all. It's very cool for that sense too.
And I like these because we get to learn a little bit more about you as a person and as an artist. And that actually kind of leads into my next little batch of questions is, first thing, what is something on your go-to playlist that people wouldn't expect you listen to?
Oh, can you repeat that, Tom?
What's something on your go-to playlist that people wouldn't expect you're listening to?
My go-to playlist.
Like a guilty pleasure song almost.
Yeah. How guilty pleasure, Tom?
So I always use this one as an example. My guilty pleasure song when I really want to get pumped up is Nicki Minaj Super Bass.
Okay, mine's definitely Party in the USA.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Next question I have for you then is, what is a piece of advice that you were given when you were coming up that you held on to tightly through your career?
Oh, when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
It's just something my dad has always told me in like the older you get and the more independent you get in this industry and career, you definitely have moments of weakness from whatever that comes from. And that's something that my dad said to me almost every single time as just a personal reminder. Instead of, you have those moments as a daughter where you want a handful of advice, and you have moments as a daughter where you just want a hug and a smile and it's going to be okay. And that's always been my dad's way of saying it's going to be okay. And anytime that I'm just on my own and I have a situation, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And it's worked its wonders in many ways, like in my personal life, but also definitely in my professional life, I think, as well.
Hey, no, that's a good one. That's if it's something that keeps you focused then and gets you on the right
Yeah,
path, then why not?
exactly.
Now, this is kind of a new I'm not the best at coming up with questions sometimes, but I like to try to figure out some things. What is like a hobby you have outside of music that people might not know about?
Hmm. I mean, I definitely have a few. Uh, I would say like the one that I share with people is painting. I definitely share my painting on my social media sometimes and stuff like that. But A hobby that I'm trying to think of, maybe a hobby I haven't shared with people yet. Um, oh, Minecraft.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I've actually, I mean, I've wanted to actually, I see Minecraft everywhere, obviously, and I'm like, that seems so simple, but so time consuming in a sense of you can just go wild and do things in there.
Yeah, it's definitely basically equivalent to like needing, if you need to do anything in your life like an average human, do not play Minecraft.
Okay.
That's my advice. Okay, okay, Tom, that's my advice. I really enjoy Minecraft. I could go on about it, but I will leave it at that. I extremely enjoy Minecraft.
We'll save that one for the second conversation we have.
Yeah.
So my final thing, and this is kind of, I always leave this one at the end, is a good point for people who hopefully stayed the whole time to listen to this. Why is it that you do music? Like why do you keep doing what you're doing?
Hmm. That's a really special question.
That's why I leave it to the end. It's a
um,
little bit deeper.
right? Just like whoo, punches in the face at the end. um, I feel like there's so many answers to that, and this could be one of those questions where in 10 minutes after this interview, Tom, I'm gonna say, well, I could have said this instead. But I think that I think that I've always had this feeling of purpose with being a vessel of music. I feel a connection to music that I've never to this day felt with anything else. And like it's an unimaginable love that you can't fight. And for me, that feels like home. And I know a lot of people in their lives take forever looking for home. So I feel extremely lucky with that feeling. And whether that feeling means anything or not, it feels good to me to express it and put it into music and share that with people. And I know that I've found people along the way that connect with that feeling through my music. And that kind of creates just a safe space for people to feel anything they need to. And I think that's what I feel my purpose is with my music is whatever it is, just honesty and creating a safe space, because that's kind of what makes me feel safe at the end of the day is making my music. So I think I think that's just what's behind it all.
I mean, that's a perfect way to put it, really. If it makes you feel a certain type of way, safe space, comfortable, and helps you kind of get get on your path and get to the next step, then that's why not keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And music's just so important for humans, I think. I mean, historically going all the way back, it's been important for how many years, but even to this day, I mean, growing up in high school, I watched a lot of music therapy happen, and I music is a really beautiful tool for coping. And I know myself, like I wake up some mornings and I'm just like floating on this rock and I'm like, what the heckers is going on, you know?
Hmm.
So I think part of my coping mechanism since I was literally a child, like a baby, I even in my mom's tummy, she played me music. Like it's been something that's brought me comfort for my whole entire life. And I think it's a really beautiful space to allow people to come to and create a community just to feel, we're all just there to feel something in that melodic space. So I think it's important for the people who feel the connection to sharing that. I think it's a really important thing to keep doing.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way we can cap this off, is just with that feeling of what music is. And just what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So your single is out. We're gonna make sure we link that. We're gonna, link all the socials so everyone can find you. And is there any kind of last tidbits of wisdom you want to give? I think we have a minute or so left on my timer here.
I mean, any tidbits of wisdom that I'm caught up to right now from the universe guru are lying in the song 20 something. So you can take a listen to that.
All right. So we'll definitely have to have another chat because I'm going to want to hear more about Minecraft and all that fun stuff. So we'll make this happen again for
Yes.
sure.
Yes, we will, Tom. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being a space for musicians.
That's what I try. You have yourself a good day, and we'll connect again.
Yes. Peace out.
Bye.